Sun, sand, and skyscrapers. That's what usually attracts people from all over the world to Dubai. But for aviation enthusiasts, it has something else in store. Sun, sand, and airplanes. Lots and lots of airplanes and more. Hello aviators, Sky here, and I invite you to the United Arab Emirates. Welcome to Airshow Dubai 2025. Briefly about the flight to Dubai.
المحطة الأخيرة لهذا القطار هي
Well, the Dubai Airshow 2025 is taking place at Al Maktoum Airport, south of the city. It's not that close, the map can be deceiving. The distance seems short, but in reality it's a 40-minute drive along highways surrounded by desert. Basically, walking is not an option. We're here. As is typical in Dubai, we're greeted by heavy luxury with official cars, like these, and a clear sky, into which burst metallic birds. The Queen immediately catches the eye, as do a group of Boeing 777s. Also here is Boeing's future flagship, the huge 777X-9, boasting its folding wingtips and impressive views during demonstration flights. By the way, you can notice the engine options. The Dash 300 is equipped with the American GE90, while the Dash 200 has the British Rolls-Royce Trent 800. The new aircraft, however, has no options yet. It's only equipped with the giant GE9X. A perk of the Dubai Airshow. As a kid, back in the days of GTA 3 and Vice City, I dreamt of a future game where you could literally drive and go anywhere. That's not in the game yet, but at the Airshow it is. Almost. Such broad access is probably due to the show's specialization. There are very few onlookers, mostly specialists and the military. Once in Dubai, we run to its main attraction, Emirates Airlines, which has displayed its most beautiful aircraft here, the Boeing 777 as well as the Airbus A350 and the Flying Palace A380. The A350-1000 flaunting in the sky hinted to me that I should see its brother on the ground first.
Hello everyone, my name is Sophia and welcome to the new A350.
There are 3 cabins on board, a cool economy class, an even cooler premium economy class, and of course a luxurious business class. The interior designers were clearly inspired by premium cars, like the classic Mercedes S-Class, and they played around with every conceivable layout. Good thing the plane is quite large. Although next to its neighbor, it certainly looks small. You know, I've seen a lot of airplanes in my life, small and large, but only in the A380 can something like this happen.
Where am I?
The aircraft's size and vast interior space leave plenty of room for the operator's imagination. And the operator here, Emirates, is clearly not one to suffer from modesty. The entire lower deck is occupied by economy and premium economy classes, similar in design to what we saw on the A350. We ascend the large spiral staircase to the upper deck, and that's where the show begins. Business class has its own large bar, the one everyone always shows off. And closer to the nose, we're greeted by first class, which transforms the passenger plane into a cruise liner, with a host of luxurious features. The main one, of course, being a pair of showers, on a level not every large business jet can afford. Another immodesty of Emirates. While I was exploring the planes, their owners expanded their order book. 8 more Airbus A350-900s like the ones we toured, and 65 more Boeing 777-9s, like those we saw in the sky. That's a total of $41 billion, and this is an expansion of orders. Emirates is currently waiting for 375 aircraft. Their procurement plan runs all the way to 2038. While I was walking around the cabin, a plane appeared in the sky, its appearance hinting at where to go next. The US didn't present any new models, but what they had was there in large numbers. There were the US Army's AH-64 Apache helicopters, the UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, both the original Army model, and the US Navy's MH-60S Nighthawk. Not that Nighthawk. And the now famous M142 Himmer's multiple rocket launcher. Another veteran was also present, the twin-rotor CH-47 Chinook. Airplanes include the ever-present duo of the F-15 and F-16 fighters, and a couple of versions of the trusty old C-130J with cheerful crews, plus the KC-767 tanker, obviously based on the Boeing 767. Meanwhile, Airbus makes sure to park its A330 MRTT tanker nearby, two competing brothers. And the most curious piece of equipment, the 30mm 7-barrel GAU-8 Avenger cannon and the Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II attack aircraft bolted to it. The aircraft parked here were mostly brought from Middle Eastern air bases and were clearly used. The guys even apologized for showing very old helicopters built in 2015. Oh, they're spoiled. The Americans also brought their main secret weapon here, an Air Force band. It was very atmospheric, but I won't play Country Roads, or the channel would get copyrighted. By the way, there were other Apaches and Blackhawks here, from the United Arab Emirates military, and they looked luxurious, brand new and even more sophisticated. Any whim for your oil money. And finally, the Russian Knights aerobatic team appears in the sky. They weren't shy about the Russian pavilion either. It was placed right on the opposite side from the American one. Inside a small hangar, major manufacturers are on display with their models. Among the curious stuff are a couple of interesting gadgets. A Sith holocron from Star Wars, a laser gyroscope for the navigation system, as well as the advanced Arbalet AM radar for the Ka-52 helicopter, dynamic with active electronically scanned array. There were other interesting mock-ups too. The Su-75, this time a drone with updated high-lift devices, and the Su-57 with new flat nozzles. These are still just mock-ups, it's a bit early to see the real thing, although the real Su-57 is nevertheless on display. And yes, they're now less modest and show open weapons base. While the big brother dominates the airshow skies, the little brother is showing off on the ground. The Yak-130M is an upgraded version of the Yak-130, making the trainer aircraft a fully functional trainer combat aircraft. The new guy is much more aggressive, its filling has been redesigned, and it finally has a radar, an electro-optical targeting system, and an electric warfare and self-defense system. And of course weapons, a ton of different pods, the ability to use modern air-to-air missiles and guided bombs. While we were running around Comrade Yakovlev, Comrade Kamov, the export Ka-52E, was preparing for flight. Rotary wing relatives were on display on the ground, the Ansat with its new Russian heart, and the Ka-32, which thanks to its exotic looks was adored by tourists. The largest exhibit at the Russian section of the airshow was the Il-76MD-90A military transport. Despite its resemblance to the original Il-76, it has been significantly updated. It boasts improved flight and cargo performance, numerous new design elements from the smallest details to the wing, and completely new, much more modern onboard equipment. Nothing was degraded. The MD-90A retains the most beautiful workstation in the world. Now the aircraft is at the stage where it must answer the question of whether it can be as popular as its great ancestor, especially since this is an export aircraft, which is why delivery is so un-Russian. Now that we explored the Russian transport, we might as well take a look at its American colleague, the C-17 Globemaster III, which serves in the Emirates Air Force. The livery is a bit unusual, but the aircraft is still easily recognizable. It's not as versatile as the Il-76, but it still has plenty to boast about. The cargo compartment is massive. At the exhibition, they showed off numerous different layouts, in pieces. The interior was also intriguing. Numerous tool compartments lie every wall. Convenient, everything is within easy reach. Unfortunately, the stern man didn't let us see the cockpit, but we did get a chance to see the lavatory. Not Emirates, of course, but it'll do. Of the military transports, there's also a European one here, the Airbus A400M. Big, turboprop and beautiful. The French military didn't let me inside, so no cockpit, sorry. But I could see it in the air. The cockpit of the F-35 is the one I was able to climb into. That thing finally stopped running away from me. But there is a caveat, it's a mock-up for exhibitions. On the one hand, that's too bad, I'd love to see the real thing. On the other hand, good. Why should they let a shady guy with a camera into the cockpit of their favorite creation? The real machine was whistling and humming above our heads. While strolling around the airshow, I encountered another favorite creation, this time French.
Rafale. Oh, Rafale.
The Dassault Rafale was real, with all the necessary toys. Almost all of them. The Meteor missile could only be seen in the pavilion, a plastic mock-up. The Rafale, for all its nuances, is beautiful. I'll make a video about it later. Fortunately, I filmed it so closely that the poor ground crew had to pull me out of the air intake. The things I do for my beloved audience. Another Dassault, the Falcon 6X business jet, was parked nearby. This time a twin engine, but still with all the cool French touches inside and out. Beautiful. The comfort bonus of these jets, air conditioning, was especially noticeable in Dubai, where even in November, not everyone can stand the heat. The Chinese brought civilian aircraft to the airshow. The Comac C909 airliners, formerly ARJ21s, and the medium-hull C919. Finally, we had a chance to see it in person, inside as well as in the sky. They didn't bring any military aircraft, but the toothy Chinese didn't avoid us completely. The UAE Air Force's Fursan Al Emirat team is painting flags in the sky, showing off its formation flights and aerobatic maneuvers, as well as its 2025 upgrade. Guess what the Al Fursan team flies? Yes, a Chinese plane. The Arabs have switched from the Italian Armacchi MB339 nets to the Chinese Hongdu L-15s. They fly beautifully, and their paint job is gorgeous. Well, this must have been the third day of the airshow. Enough work for today, no energy left, time to relax. And what does a man want most after a long day of work?
Ice cream.
Ice cream!
Emirates Catering was running around the grounds handing out free treats. Take heat, airshow organizers. On the morning of day 4, Dubai greeted us with a sandstorm. Everything was alright. By the time flights began, the skies were already clear. The walk through the airshow continues. We're greeted by vehicles both familiar and unusual. For example, multicopters, flying taxis, that are being actively promoted in Dubai. It's tempting to call them manned drones, but that term seems a bit absurd. Drones were certainly plentiful at the airshow. Given current trends, they're a necessary part of work in most companies. Both major players and newcomers are showcasing their creations, most of them of course mock-ups and early versions, though some have already proven themselves, so to speak. The drone apocalypse in Dubai wasn't as large scale as in China, where they're churning them out in monstrous quantities. There were also anti-drone weapons, the Russian Panzer SMD-E, a purely missile system, and the German Rheinmetall Oerlikon, part of the famous Skynex, a purely cannon system. A real battle of concepts. An airshow is always a blast because of the access I get to all the teams in the aircraft industry competition. Half an hour ago I was talking to Russian aviators, 10 minutes ago to American ones, and now to Arab ones. A big plus of working with the whole world. What can I say?
I have friends everywhere.
The most famous aircraft at the show was the light and slightly unusual Indian fighter, the HAL Tejas. However, it became famous for a reason that we would rather not have at all. After 5 days of flying high, the airshow ended tragically. What can I say? Low-altitude aerobatics is a dangerous work. Unfortunately, it happens. Of the final points of interest, I'll mention the airport. Al Maktoum International Airport, where I flew to and from and where the airshow was held, now looks like an unremarkable provincial port in a desert outside the city. But the plans for it are monumental. The problem with Dubai's main port, famous worldwide, is that it no longer meets the ambitions of its owners, and it has nowhere to grow, surrounded by the city on all sides. And it is Al Maktoum that, in the coming years, is destined to become the main transport hub of the Emirate, the entire country, and, to be fair, half the world. The airport is planned to become a true giant, with 5 runways, several terminals, 400 gates, and an annual passenger traffic of 160 to 250 million. Well, Dubai authorities have never experienced a lack of scale, so we'll see what they come up with. We'll just have to wait. About 10 years. This concludes our journey, but we're not saying goodbye to the exhibits. They'll be featured on the channel in more detail. Like and subscribe to stay up to date with this show. Colorful flights and soft landings to you.